Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today and welcome to my kitchen. For my very first YouTube video, I thought I'd start with something simple. So today we're going to learn how to cut up a whole chicken. Before I get started and get my hands all dirty, I wanted to go over a few things first. I wanted to give a shout out to a book I'll be referencing later in the demonstration. This is called Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat by Samin Nosrat. Awesome book, I highly recommend it. She's also got a Netflix special by the same name. It's not quite the same as the book. I mean, it kind of goes over the same concepts, but she uses different examples, and I highly recommend both. If the kitchen is what you enjoy doing, a lot of helpful tips in here. I also wanted to quickly go over the supplies that we're going to be using before we get started. So I have a rimmed cookie sheet with a cutting board on it so that I can catch any loose chicken juice. Make a huge mess on my countertop. I've got a butcher's knife it's got this curved edge. It's really helpful for cutting through some cartilage on a couple of the difficult areas of the chicken. And then I've got some bags here. I've got 2 gallon-sized baggies and a sandwich bag, which I will be going over the different uses for these bags a little bit later in the video, and I can also give you some ideas of what we use the leftover parts for. And I am going to be doing some other videos in the future about how to use, like how to make chicken stock and things like that to use the carcass. So if you are interested in learning about that, make sure to like and subscribe, hit the bell so that you get notified when that video comes out. But I guess I can go ahead and get started with step 1, which is somewhat optional. If you've got long hair, I highly recommend going ahead and tying that hair up. You do not want to get your hair in the chicken juices I previously mentioned. So let's get going. And that's enough of me blabbing, let's get started. Alright, you'll notice while I was taking the chicken out of the packaging, I already sort of damaged one of his legs here. That's okay, I was going to be doing that anyway, obviously. But before I actually start cutting, I wanted to just kind of take a second to look at the chicken and see what parts we're going to be cutting. So we can see 2 wings, 2 breasts, 2 legs, and then behind here 2 thighs. So we're going to be getting 8 pieces of chicken from here, plus the spine and some of the carcass, some rib part. And then inside the chicken there is actually a few organs that they left for us, so we're going to take those out and put them in the sandwich baggie. So I will go ahead and they may come out on their own while we're cutting, but I think I see the neck here. The neck, this is the neck. I'm actually going to put this in one of the big freezer bags because I want to keep this and use it for the stock. Alright. I'm going to start with the legs. And you can see where the skin is pretty loose here. We want to definitely make a cut here. And inside here, actually, you can see this white line. That's what separates the breast meat, which we're going to cut along later. Right now we're going to focus on taking the leg off. And actually I already had broken it here, so let's make this easy on ourselves and just make a clean cut. Okay, there's 2 of our pieces. Keep as much of that skin on as you can. There's one of those organs. Let's see, I can take these out. Time for the other leg. skin here. Now you may be thinking, why in the world would I be wanting to cut my own chicken up when I could just go to the store and buy the pieces that I need? And for a really long time I did cook that way. That's how my mom cooked. That's how pretty much everybody that I know cooks, really. And to be honest, I started watching some homestead YouTube videos, and you know, COVID happened last year, which really kind of opened my eyes to how maybe not necessarily, you know, secure everything is that we've been led to believe in terms of our food source and just other materials that we may, you know, that we've come to sort of take for granted. And so for my New Year's resolution for 2021, I decided I would only buy whole chickens, and so far, as of June 29th, I have stuck to that. And I'll tell you something, it does take a little bit longer to do this part than it does to just open a package and cook it. But besides this being preparation for me having chickens in the future, which I do hope to have very soon, this, I'll tell you, is so worth it. The flavor of a whole chicken, I mean, you've got the flesh, which keeps the fat on there, and the fat is a huge source of flavor. And I thought I didn't like chicken for probably 28 of my years, almost 29. My birthday's in February, and so the first couple of months of 29, I was using whole chickens and realizing, wow, I actually do really like chicken. I've made my own chicken stock twice now. I haven't tasted the second batch yet. I used a different recipe, so I'm really ready to try that. I'm going to skim the fat off later today and actually use that to cook dinner tonight. And I'll tell you, it's a game changer. So you saw I just took off the wings. It was pretty easy. I just picked them right up, saw where the skin was loose, cut right through. Here's the spine and the breast. And so you may, you know, here's that white line I was talking about earlier. And then we can see where the ribs are. So I'm just going to cut right down through here. This is kind of the difficult part for me. Okay, there's one. And 2 breasts. Here is the spine and the rib meat. I'm going to put that in my bag with the chicken neck. Seal that up, and that's going to go in the freezer. The chicken neck and the chicken spine is going to go in the freezer. And I'm going to freeze that until I'm ready to make chicken stock again. I'll do another video on that, but I usually like to have at least 3 in my freezer before I make chicken stock. And it makes about, I want to say 16 cups, but I'll have to double check my pot. Alright, so I've got that in the freezer. I also have my organs in the freezer. When I'm ready to make gravy, or what's called giblet gravy, I can use those. I haven't done that yet, but I've got several bags saved up, and I'm really excited to try that recipe to see how that tastes. I've heard it's a very rich flavor, and after I've tried everything else with, you know, a whole chicken, I'm really excited to try something new and see how that is. Now let's get this processed the rest of the way. We're almost done. We've gotten the hard part done. I'll do the legs first again. I'm a creature of habit. Alright, so here we go. You can see here the shape of the leg. We've got this white line again that kind of shows us where we want to make our cut. And again, you want to keep as much of that skin on as you can. I like to give it a couple of bends to see where that joint's going to be. Nice and easy. So now I've got leg, and and thigh. Bone-in, skin on. Chock full of flavor. Going in my empty bag. I'm gonna do the other one now. Scope out my line. Give it a couple of bends to find the joint. Right there. Cut straight down. Easy. The skin. Shredded it a little bit. Here comes my cat. Uh-oh. Got a little bit extra skin on that one. That'll be good. Wings, not too hard either. Honestly, I always forget to do this, but these little wing tips you can just cut right off and stick in the freezer along with the carcass. We'll just put them to the side for now. That bag's in the freezer already. I left a little bit of the breast meat on these wings, so you got a little bit more oomph in here, but you just, if you go to a Wingstop or wherever, here's the flat and the drum. So you want to separate those two, cut through that loose skin, find the joint. Sometimes it's easier to just break it. Alright. Couple of wing. Here we go again with a wing. Cut that tip right off. That's going to be delicious in some stock. Cut through the loose skin. Find the joint. That was easier. 2 wings done. Let's put that in the bag with the legs and the thighs. Last part, separate the 2 breasts. Pardon my cat, she's being curious. Something smells good, she says. Cut that right in 2, flip it over. Look at there, a white line again. The white lines are connective tissue and they're pretty easy to cut. It's a very good guideline throughout the chicken. There's pretty much this substance wherever you're splitting it. Now, I did not mention this in my intro video because this is optional, but once you get all your chicken pieces into your bag, I would highly recommend, because I'm pretty bad at remembering to do this, but one of the things I learned from that Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat book is that you should always salt your meat as soon as you get home from the store. And pretty generously too. So I've got about, I'm guessing here, I just dumped it in my hand, but it's probably about a tablespoon and a half of salt, kosher salt. I'm just gonna dump this in here with the chicken, try to spread it out evenly. Now the salt's gonna make the chicken sweat. The liquid is going to absorb the salt, and then it'll get soaked back into the chicken via osmosis. So that's how you season the inside of the chicken. It's sort of like a little mini brine without the liquid. I mean, you were using the meat liquid. So I'm going to seal up my bag, give it a good mix with my hands after I've given myself a hand wash. And I'm going to let this sit in my fridge for at least several hours. Now, if you can do this when you come home from the store, that would be ideal, but of course I understand not everybody's got that time, or you know, you got your other things on your schedule, so just having time to cut up the chicken is kind of a feat in itself. I understand that. If you've got time to salt your meat before you are ready to cook, then that's ideal. And I'm thinking I might record one more video tonight of something that I'm going to use the thighs and the breasts for, so wish me luck on getting my technology working, and I will see you later.